Welcome back to Urban Outlook. We are talking to Dr. Glenda Glover, who is president of Tennessee State University, and we are talking about this historic moment where Senator Kamala Harris was named as the vice presidential running mate with Joe Biden on the 2020 Democratic ticket. Politico wrote in a recent article, the Harris pick is both a bold confirmation of the power of women, black women especially, hold within the Democratic Party, and a signal that the country might finally be overcoming its aversion to placing women at the top of presidential tickets. And I wonder, Dr. Glover, as you think about this moment, not only what this means for Senator Harris, but beyond that, what it means for other women who are in politics, other women in powerful positions, how can this make a difference, what this announcement of Senator Harris being on the ticket?
Well, it shows that we're in a space now. We're in a different space, one that we've not been welcomed into before. But this is a door has been opened, a door has been basically kicked open, and women have walked in, and women have decided we're going to seek public office. And in so doing, you know, we open doors for others who want to be a part of this political system through being elected to offices. You know, there was a time when women would not even seek office, but now that it is made it clear that the door is much wider now, so we just have to take advantage of that.
We saw some very early polls. We know how poll numbers can change, right? But we saw some very early polls that show that Joe Biden's announcement had a boost for the Democratic Party. In fact, the popularity scores of Senator Kamala Harris are higher than any of the other folks that are in the running there, meaning Joe Biden, the current president, and the current vice president. So what does that say about the power of her in this particular position when you see some of those very positive trends right now?
You know, I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to those poll numbers because I think you live and die by the polls. I think the best approach is to just encourage people to go out and vote.
Yeah.
You know, on our campus at TSU, students are so excited about the general election. They're galvanizing because they're not going to let this harvest pass. There's so much excitement everywhere for Senator Harris, for HBCUs, because everywhere we go, we make sure we let the world know that she got her training. She got her start at HBCU at Howard University, you know, one of the premier institutions, second only to Tennessee State University. So.
Some may say, you know, we've known for quite some time, I'm a product of a historically black institution as well, but the role of our black colleges and universities in making and creating people, you touched on this a little bit earlier about how we're taught a certain way to make us into the leaders that we become, to make us into the people that we become. Just talk about the role of HBCUs in some of the brightest folks that are in our country today.
That's exactly right. HBCUs have just trained, they train you to be leaders. You know, we have campus organizations, we have leadership programs and seminars and ways to increase your leadership skills. Because we know that we deposit you into the real world. We want the students to really continue to move up that ladder and succeed. And so we want you to be ambitious. We want you to have this self-confidence. You know, we've seen students who come from, I mean, they're dejected. They come here and with no idea of what they want to do, and they grow out, they just grow into themselves and become outstanding leaders. So the HBCUs have contributed so much to the country. They've been a backbone of our system because they've educated the African Americans. Of course, the door is open wider now, and we can go to various other institutions. But there was a time when those doors were not open to African Americans, and so HBCUs were there. I look at TSU when we couldn't get into Vanderbilt and UT and MTSU and Austin, we couldn't get into other schools. We could go to TSU. We had our arms open. We met the qualifications. So we've always had open door policy, and so we've not closed that door. And we still welcome. And by the way, it's not too late if you want to come to TSU with this fall. I give my shameless plug. It's not too late.
I don't mind that one bit. So it's not too late, is it?
No.
You know, one of the things that I think is also interesting is, and you touched on this just a little bit, and I think I heard you say that yours was one of the voices in making some, maybe in helping to make some determination on who should be the pick. Did I hear you correctly in saying that you were asked about, you know, your ideas around who could be in that second seat?
I was asked who I thought would make a good choice, the best choice. And so I didn't really go with a name as much as I did an African American woman.
Yes.
Because the Divine Nine, the movement is bigger than HBCUs, it's bigger than Alpha Kappa Alpha, the entire Divine Nine, the Greek letter organizations. We've always fought together, stood together. When Loretta Lynn was trying to be confirmed as Attorney General, it was Alpha Kappa Alpha that was out. We were out front saying, and she's a member of Delta Sigma Theta, but we said, listen, this is a Black woman who's qualified. Why won't y'all move this forward? And so we work together in so many aspects. And so and Black women as a whole have gotten to the point where we don't take no for an answer anymore. And that's a good thing. That's why we're getting so many more women in politics. We don't take no for an answer. You know, there's a time, I know we were talking earlier about why there are not so many Black women in politics, as they need to be, as they should be. And the answer is kind of simple. When Black women say, I'm going to run for this office, you're immediately told you can't win. You can't be encumbered. You can't raise the money. I mean, it's the negatives that come out, or they're going to come after you. So we have to be tough enough to withstand all of that. So because it means so much to the country to have the talent of Black women. You look at, I looked at Houston. I think a couple years ago they had 12 or 13 women in the judiciary that won. In Memphis, there were 8 or 9 Black women elected to as judges. So and across the country, these elections are taking place. You run against incumbents, long-term incumbents, and winning. And so it's just a time. The time is now. I heard Bishop Walker say it could be your turn and not your time. What is our turn and is our time. So
it's interesting that you kind of put that in that perspective, because I think that's one of the things that this political article talked about, that in the past people would hear these negative comments about, oh, you're not going to be able to do this, you're not going to be able to be a white man, you're not going to be able to get the vote, you're not going to be able to raise the money. But it does seem like times have changed for us through the years, but definitely now. And what do you attribute that to?
Just being more confident in ourselves. At one time we needed others to validate us, to say, you can't do this or you should do this. But now, we have confidence in our own abilities. That's probably our greatest strength, is the confidence we have in our abilities to perform and to make this world better. The Black women have been the backbone for so long. We run our household, we run other folks' households, we run our family's households, our cousins, our sisters. We work one job, we work 2 jobs. We get it done. We get the job done. We're busy. We want something done, give it to a busy person so women can handle it. And so now that we're confident, we don't need anybody to validate us, to tell us what your value might be. We know that now. And I think that's come a long way, to have that level of confidence, to know who we are and how we can help not just ourselves and positive, but help companies and help organizations to be all that they can even be. And so this birth of confidence and knowing who we are and what our contributions are, I think that has gone a long way to push more women into the politics, to the political limelight, notwithstanding the attacks you might receive. But I think that has done more to you recognize your own self-worth. My dad, would say to me, I said, we stand on the shoulders. He said, yeah, you stand on other folks' shoulders, but get off those shoulders. Stand on your own shoulders. Use your own shoulders and make that your own mantra. And so I never forgot that, and I worked hard all my life to have my own shoulders, though I recognize that others have preceded and done things that have caused all of us to be where we are today. But we have to make up our own minds of who we are and what we choose, how we choose to lead, who we choose choose to become.
Well, and you've got some of those strong shoulders as well that's lifting others up who are following in your footsteps, that's for sure. So I wonder, as we kind of wrap up and get to the end, maybe about a little more than a minute left, but what advice would you give, maybe Senator Harris, putting your presidential hat on, what advice would you give her, and what advice would you give other young women who are looking at what's happening now and thinking about standing up in a way as impactful as what we see Senator Harris doing?
Well, first and foremost, I always tell you, you have to start every day with a prayer of thanksgiving. You know, recognize the God in your life, and there are others who come against you. Speak to the God in them, and so that's number one. Always have God direct your path, and then secondly, know who you are, and don't ever forget who you are, and those who have helped you. And look at the time when there was a day when our parents and those before them looked over in the direction of the promised land. They looked across the rivers of segregation, discrimination, unequal education in our land, thought they would never cross over. But I'm looking at this appointment, this selection as a running mate. It says that to some of us, Senator Harris can see that we are making it to the other side of that river and of that bridge, and we must always help others. If you've gotten to where you are, and you don't reach back and bring somebody else with you, you have accomplished precisely nothing. And so that's my advice to everyone, to students and to others who I'm in contact with. Always know who you are, and always try to know it's bigger than you. There are others you have to bring with you and help others along the way.
Thank you so much, Dr. Glover. We appreciate you, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.